Yo, what's up guys, it's Cozy and welcome back to my channel. First up, Happy New Year to everyone and I hope you all had a great time. Obviously, we all know why we are here. MiHoYo has decided to gracefully bless us with a new Spiral Abyss version right as the new year begins. And I would say that this version is not too difficult to complete. It is not free loot, but it is definitely one of the easier ones. This time around we are not going to talk about floor 9 to 11 because they are rather simple. They are honestly just DPS checks, just like floor 12 basically. Instead we will first go over the characters that I used, and after that we will take a closer look at each chamber. And to be fair, the bosses are a little bit annoying because they move around a lot, but we will talk about that once we get there. Now let us go through the two teams that I used for this version of the Abyss. Alright, so first up we have the compositions that I used for the first half of floor 12, which is a Navia, HoYoMix, Jungling and Bennett composition. Navia mainly due to the Spiral Abyss Blessing this time around, which will increase your damage by X%, I'm not entirely sure right now, whenever you pick up elemental shards, as simple as that. Why are we using HoYoMix here? Mainly due to the reason that we are not using Kazuha, basically, because you know, usually I would be using Kazuha in this composition, but we need Kazuha for the second half due to a very specific reason, which we will talk about later on. And because I don't want to use Sucrose, even though I have her somewhere here, Sucrose, right? I have her. You could use her here, but I like to use Yai. She's one of the best characters in the game, so that's why I'm using her right here. She's also a very good off-field DPS, and she's really good when it comes to creating elemental shards. And after that, we obviously, like I said, we have Jungling and Bennett here. When it comes to stats, very simple. Here you go. Crit rate, crit damage, some energy recharge, some elemental damage bonus. Weapons, Beacon of the Weak Sea, those are her artifact sets, no constellations, and 688 talents. So some room to grow here still, but that's where she is at right now. HoYoMix herself, 9, 10, 10, no constellations, those are her artifacts, that's a weapon, signature weapon, and when it comes to stats, here you go, electro damage, as well as some crit rate and a lot of crit damage, right? No energy recharge, because she's basically our off-field DPS character. And when it comes to Jungling, energy recharge, right, as much as you can get, weapons, Favonius Lance, those are her artifacts, full constellations, and 7, 9, 10 talents. And the same applies to Bennett. 1, 9, 10 talents, constellation 5, artifacts, noblesse, weapon festering desire because I'm a boomer. And when it comes to stats, 250% energy recharge, that's kind of all you need, right? That's the first team that we're using. If you don't have these characters, like let's say you don't have HoYoMix, you can use Fischl instead. If you don't have Navia, you can use Ningguang instead, entirely up to you, right? After that we have, and that was my voice giving up there for a moment. After that we have Neuvillette. Neuvillette is one of the most broken characters in the game, maybe even the most broken character, I don't know. And that's why we're using him. If you don't have him, you can also use a, let's say, Nahida composition, it works. You can use a Lineage composition, that works too. You can also use Navia here, technically, and use Neuvillette in the first half, entirely up to you, right? Only pay attention, the Hydro Tulpa, the big boy enemy in the third chamber of floor 12, is immune to Hydro damage, so Neuvillette probably doesn't work there, right? Either way, we use Neuvillette with Kazuha, Farina, and Layla. This is his weapon. Those are his artifacts, more should say Hunter basically. No constellations, talents 10, 9, 9, so fairly good. Still room to grow, but that's where he is at for now. And when it comes to stats, 40% crit rate, a lot of crit damage. Keep in mind crit rate, we have more should say Hunter, so we get around 30% extra crit rate here. And when it comes to the other stats, we have a lot of hydro damage bonus, right? And basically no energy recharge. When it comes to Kazuha, we only care about the Viridescent Winera set, as simple as that. Constellations, we have one of them, which will help you a lot when it comes to energy recharge, because you get your elemental skill back after using your elemental burst, so you don't need 250% energy recharge here if you have Constellation 1, and that's why he is at 200% right now. That's kind of all there is to Kazuha. Talents 2, 10, 10, obviously. right? Farina, 6, 10, 10 talents, no constellations. Those are her artifacts, Golden 12. Weapon, I got lucky on the last day of the event banner. And I got her signature weapon, although quote-unquote lucky because I had to basically pull 3 weapons because I kept getting the bad 50-50 chance, let's say it like that. And that also basically used up all of my Primo Gems. So I'm kind of out of Primo Gems right now. And here we have her stats. Crit rate a lot, or 50%, but a lot of crit damage. Some energy recharge, you don't need more than that, and hydro damage bonus. After that we have Lila. Very simple, Lila, level 80. I should upgrade her, quote-unquote should, because she's on level 80 for like half a year now. I'm too lazy, I guess. When it comes to weapons, Sacrificial Sword, artifacts, basically just increasing your shield strength. No constellations except for the first one, and talents 188, so kind of maxed out for her level, right? A lot of people are sleeping on Lila, but in my opinion she's a really good shield character. She's on par with Diona and Zhongli, and she's really good when it comes to Novelette because due to her cryo reactions you make use of his talent, right? Of the increased damage here, right? Of the stacks, right? So that's the composition here. So let us now move on to our actual run. So in the background right now you can see my full clear when it comes to floor 12. In this one we are going to use a Navia composition as well as a Novelette composition. I explained them earlier, right? But if you don't want to use them, I also tried out Linne, he works. I tried a Nahida composition, works as well. A Haysem works as well. Like there are a lot of compositions that you can use for this version of the Abyss. And if you want to use 4-star characters only, like I said, replace Navia with Ningguang and you're good to go, right? When it comes to the enemies, this time around we have, you know, the mechanical array, not a new enemy, we all know it. For those that are new, basically it has an intermission mechanic. You trigger that mechanic by either pushing the boss to 25% HP, if you do so he goes immune and starts the intermission, which you can see right now, or it will start over time. In that intermission you need to kill an ad, which you can see right now, it's the one with a small circle around it, and once you kill the ad, the boss will be stunned and it will take more damage. To be precise, a lot more damage, because it basically no longer has any resistances while it is stunned. So if you're struggling here when it comes to time, keep your supers and everything for that stunned phase, because you will do a lot of damage here. Yeah, other than that, this one shouldn't be too much of a challenge, especially if you're used to it. So let us now move on to the second half, which has a thunder manifestation in it. Or I guess you could say electro oceanate. I don't know, either way. This one can be annoying if it moves around a lot. But if you're using Novelette, it doesn't really matter, because his charge attack has a stupid range. So yeah, if you're using Novelette, easy way, easy peasy. But I also use Linne, it works too, and just try to dodge the mechanics and you're good to go. Speaking about mechanics, you just saw it, we have the electro walls. You can either dodge them the way I did, or you can just dodge through them by using your invincibility window, so entirely up to you. And the other important mechanic here is the, I don't even know what it's called, the electro box thing. You all know what I'm talking about, right? If it appears, just kite it. Try to do some damage while you're kiting it, but it's completely fine if you're just kiting it and you return to damaging the boss after the mechanic is done. And yeah, you just saw the boss going down, so let us now move on to the second chamber. For this one, there's not a whole lot that needs to be explained here. It's, in my opinion, it's fairly easy. The first enemy you need to take care of is one of the new machines. This one has the Pneuma and Osea mechanic, so just use new Fontaine characters and you are good to go. If you disable the mechanic, it takes more damage, I think, but most importantly, most of the mechanics that the machine has are disabled. After that, we have one of the big Ruin Guards, one of the oldest enemies in the game, just, you know, just DPS it, not really that dangerous. And once you take it down, which happens now, you have 2 of the bigger Ruin Guards, and these guys, you can see one of them charged away, so fairly unlucky there when it comes to doing a speed run, but preferably try to keep them together, right? So you can't really, I mean, if they charge away, that's just unlucky. But if you can, try to keep them together in order to do more damage. And if you do that, then this chamber shouldn't be too much of a challenge. So let us move on to the second half. The second half, by the way, is the reason why we are using Kazuha in our second composition. And the reason are those Geoslimes you can see right now. They have a shield active, and you need to take that shield down in order to damage them. And the fastest and most reliable way of doing so is by using either plunging attacks, which Kazuha is going to do after his elemental skill, or by using heavy attacks, or to be precise, claymore attacks. You can use Navia, for example, you can use Eula and so on. Navia preferably not, because you know some of these enemies have increased geo resistance, so try to not use Navia here. Kazuha is the best option in my opinion. Also, one thing to point out here for those that are entirely new, if you have a shield active and the wish ships jump on you, they get stunned, right? As simple as that. So try to use that. When it comes to the lava holes, same thing, try to take down their shields if you're having problems here, but usually due to the fact that they are not immune to damage, unlike the Geoslimes, you are most likely going to kill them before you take down the shield. So just DPS them, just dodge their attacks and you're good to go. Next up we have Chamber 3, and this one is a little bit more difficult than Chamber 2, mainly due to the Hydro Tulpa. It's a new world boss, and maybe people are not used to it yet. It has mainly one mechanic to it, as well as a lot of big damage attacks. Like, I don't know how many times my Yaemiko got one-shot by the Tulpa in this version of the Abyss. Fairly annoying, but the easiest way when it comes to the standard attacks is to just be very close to it. It very often misses for some reason, I don't know. When it comes to the big AoE attack you saw earlier, the 3 circles around it, just use your elemental burst, right? Just use the immunity window and you're good to go. The other mechanic you need to pay attention to is the small ad you just saw now, right? Just kill it whenever it appears. I don't know exactly what it does, but you know, when it appears, just kill it. Because the one mechanic where I know that happens is that if it's active for a longer period of time, the Tulpa will move to it and it will try to absorb it. While absorbing the ad, you can see it right now because I didn't notice the ad here, the Tulpa will take less damage. So try to kill the ad and you should be good to go, right? As simple as that. After the Tulpa, we have the second half, which in my opinion is fairly easy. So if you manage to beat the Tulpa fast enough, then you're basically done with Chamber 3. First up we have 2 lava holes. This time we have the electro versions. Try to take down their shields. If the shields are down, they are less aggressive, they do less damage, some of their mechanics fall off and stuff like that. So take down their shields, right, as simple as that. And after that, just take them down one after the other, or preferably both at the same time. Personally, I really like to use cryo characters in combination with hydro characters against them, because they are fairly easy to freeze, and with that, obviously, if they're frozen, they are no longer attacking you, so really helpful when it comes to the lava holes, in my opinion at least. And finally, we have 2 of the Aromites. Themselves, not really that challenging. They summon 2 ads. If you kill the ads, they get stunned, and they can be CC'd. I think they also take more damage when they are stunned, not entirely sure. Either way, you can see they go down fairly quickly here, and we went over my Novelette, right? It's a C0 Novelette, it's not even super broken, so yeah. So while I was editing the video, I did find something fairly interesting over on Twitter, which is a Spiral Abyss usage for this version of the Spiral Abyss, and it was provided by YS Helper, and it has around a sample size of 160,000, so fairly telling when it comes to the characters that most people end up using for the Spiral Abyss. And obviously top tier characters are Zhongli and Novelette. The reason why Zhongli is higher than Novelette, for those that are interested, right, is because you use them both in a Novelette composition as well as a Navia composition. And you can see Navia in the ST here, which is interesting because I kind of expected her to be up higher. But either way, the second DPS character that most people ended up using is Kusanali or Nahida. So yeah, both of them fairly good characters, and obviously Farina's that high up because you can use her in any composition there is. When it comes to the S tier characters, and we are only going to cover the S and A tier, we're going to ignore B tier, but when it comes to S tier, Baizu is usually the healer you use in a Nahida composition or in a El Haytham composition. You can even use all three of them together. It kind of depends on what you want to go for. Kazuha, obviously, you use him in the Nouvellette composition. You saw it in the guide earlier. And when it comes to Bennett, you kind of use him in combination with Zhangli in a Lini composition or in a Navia composition. We have Jinshou up here as well, and Yelan. They kind of do the same. And usually, in my experience, people use those two characters if they don't have Farina, right? So if you don't have Farina, use Yelan. If you don't have Yelan, use Jinshou. And after that, we have Navia. We used her, broken character. Then we have Kuki Shinobu, which you can use in a Nahida and Yaoi composition, for example. A really good character if you are not using Baizu, basically. And Waden Shogun, obviously, we all know Waden National. One of the best compositions in the game, and very good for this version of the Spiral Abyss as well. I didn't use it personally, but it's still a good composition. And the only two other characters that I want to mention here quickly are in the A tier are Yaoi. Obviously, I did use her a lot, even in this Spiral Abyss version, because I was testing out a lot of stuff there. And obviously, Linne, I did use him. He's very good. You can clear the entire thing with him. So yeah, those are kind of the compositions and characters that most people ended up using for this version of the Abyss. In the B tier, you obviously have everyone else who's kind of good for this version. Like, for example, we have Zhao, I mentioned him earlier. We have we have Arataki Ito, who is a really good Geo character if you're not using Navia, for example. Right, if you want to use the Spiral Abyss Blessing, then Ito is your character. And one thing I want to mention here, the reason why you see Shenhe in here is because you can use her in a composition with Nouvellette, right? If you use her Elemental Skill Hold ability, then you are going to increase your charge damage, but you can also use her in a Linne composition, right? She works on both of them because both of them do charge attacks. Alright, and with that we are at the end of the video. As usual, if it was helpful, leave a like, a comment, a sub, whatever, right? And personally, I have to say that this version of the Abyss was, like I said, fairly easy, but I did like it a lot. I really enjoyed it, because I kind of expected them to introduce a Tulpa in this version of the Abyss, and, you know, they ended up doing so, but it wasn't as challenging as I expected it to be. So I'm, you know, fairly happy when it comes to that. Other than that, I did approach the video a little bit different as usual, right? So let me know what you think about this version of the video when it comes to Abyss guides. And also, if you noticed a few audio problems here and there, maybe, I don't know, then that is mainly due to the fact that I'm not at home right now. I'm at my parents', you know, Christmas, New Year's and vacation, stuff like that. But I will be back home next week, and then we should return to our normal audio quality. Either way, thanks for watching, as usual. Have a great day, a great night, wherever you live, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.